we're now moving into the open public comment period. Recognize that advanced registration is required. We are limiting time to 3 minutes in fairness to other folks who testified, and appreciate folks sticking to that time frame. And I'm doing my best to look at the people on my screen and my list of those who've signed up. And if I miss anybody, I know I will hear from you. And I would like to start with Clifford Lau. If you could unmute.
Yes, this is Clifford Lau. Actually, I have nothing to comment at this time. I've been listening in to everybody else's comments. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
And thanks for joining us and your interest. Next, who I can see, I'd like to call on Pat Elder.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. In 2019, the Patuxent River Naval Air Test Center revealed PFAS groundwater contamination within 2,000 feet of 100 homes in a predominantly African-American community, many served with shallow wells. The Navy report said there was no possibility of contamination of these wells because all of the toxins drained into the Chesapeake. I contacted the Maryland Health Department to see if they thought it might be a good idea to test the wells, but they said they deferred to the Navy in these instances. It seemed like the state was covering for the Navy. I tested the water on my beach for PFAS in February of 2020. I reported extremely high levels of 14 types of PFAS. The beach is on a cove 1,800 feet across the creek from the Webster Field Annex. A local paper quoted the Maryland state official who oversees federal site cleanups. He said the contamination in the creek, if it existed, could have another source like the landfill or a firehouse. The closest landfill to the base is 11 miles away, and the closest firehouse is 5 miles away. I figured the state's top guy was covering for the Navy. In September 2020, the state released a report on PFAS levels in oysters near my beach, saying they didn't contain PFAS and they were okay to eat. The test performed had a detection limit of 1 part per billion. Concentrations may actually exceed several thousands of parts per trillion in an oyster, while the state gave them a clean bill of health. More evidence that the state was covering for the Navy. I tested rockfish, 23,100 parts per trillion, crab, 6,650, and oyster, 2,070, mostly PFOS, from my beach and nearby. I realized one seafood platter dinner could deliver 10,000 nanograms of PFAS, while fish near military burn pits have contained up to 10 million parts per trillion of mostly PFOS, and they're okay to eat. I emailed the local health department and asked them 2 yes or no questions. Is it okay for my 30-year-old daughter who may become pregnant to eat seafood from our dock with these results? And is it okay for the neighborhood children to play in the foam? They didn't say no. They didn't say yes either. They said they were waiting for the EPA. More evidence, I figured. The state contends that the deep aquifer near the Naval Research Lab's Chesapeake Bay detachment, adjacent to the town of Chesapeake Beach, is fully confining. So it's unlikely the 171,000 parts per trillion in the surficial aquifer can penetrate that far down. Yet several deep wells nearby have been detected with PFAS. More evidence, I thought. On Monday, the town of Chesapeake Beach said it tested local oysters and found low levels of contamination. The chain of custody in the Eurofins report revealed that the oyster they collected from a relatively pristine location in the bay was 23 miles away. More evidence. Maryland, my Maryland, what a shame. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Pat. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate your testimony. I'm like you, such a past enjoyer of seafood from the east upper northern coastal area that there's a lot to think about, and I appreciate those comments. Have I missed anyone who had signed up for a public comment? Great. So what I would like to suggest to the committee is we do have a closed session coming up to talk about progress. I'm sorry, first of all, to debrief what we've heard over the last couple of days. There's just been outstanding input and information provided throughout the couple of days from the experts in the area. And I know all of that will be useful and used as we put our report together. What I'd like to suggest is that we in open session now, and Elizabeth, unless you tell me otherwise, I'd like to take about a 10-minute break just to get us re-energized or energized again for kind of doing the closed session work, talking about our progress on how we're thinking about the information we've collected and the evidence that we're looking at. So do you have any problem with that, Elizabeth?
No, that sounds like a perfect plan. Thanks to all the speakers and panelists from us too. This was a really informative meeting.
It was really good. I really appreciate it. And it's so clear and so compelling. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much to the committee for the chance to be with you.
I
Bye for now.
I have 2:35 on my clock.
Recording stopped.
I would suggest we come back at 2:45 and get a jump start on our closed session. And I'll see you all. I would strongly recommend that you get up, move around, stretch, and Kevin, I hope you can go down and bail a little bit in your basement, which he'll tell us about when we get back.